Steam Next Fest is the tri-annual event where indie games throw themselves into the ruthless gauntlet that is the Steam store. With hundreds of demos to play, it's no doubt many games fall through the cracks, and scrolling for potential hits is getting harder than ever with the onslaught of AI slop exploding onto the scene. So lucky for you, I've done that curation. I've compiled together the most interesting and unique games I found during Next Fest and played so many demos. Some of them were incredible, and some of them were unplayable.
弹舌是吧? Freestyle 是吧?
My main draws are if the game has a distinctive art style or a unique mechanical concept, that even if a game looks like default Unity or Unreal Engine garbage, I still played it if it had an interesting idea. And likewise, if a game is mechanically derivative, but stylistically striking. Let's just get started. Runehaven is a voxel-based dungeon crawler with destructible terrain, letting it dabble in immersive sim mechanics. I enjoyed blasting open a locked door instead of finding the key, but as of now, the voxel aspect doesn't come into play that much. It has a spell combining system akin to Noita, with you finding runes that you draw to imbibe onto a staff. I imagine crazy combinations will be possible in the full game. As a demo, it's not too dense and the game remains firmly in potential territory, but I was certainly intrigued enough to try its full version in the future. Island Notes piqued my interest simply because the idea of combining a dating sim with a survival crafting game was funny. The translation is scuffed, but having played many Chinese game demos, it's no surprise. The dating sim part is basically non-existent in the demo, with a girl serving as a little minion for your typical survival craft slop needs. Very boring, and as a vertical slice, the demo does not sell me. I just had to show it off for this bonkers opening cutscene.
这是什么鬼东西？好像是章鱼的触手。
Haste is a speedrunning game about ramping up and down slopes to gain crazy momentum and outrun the world exploding behind you. The flow is good fun once you get into it, picking slopes to gain maximum speed as you fly through relatively short levels. The demo consists of one shard, which takes you to a roguelike Slay the Spire style map where you can visit shops, bosses, event levels, and campfires for heals. The items are nothing too crazy, and the game was fun for what it is. Hopefully the full game expands on the movement options and we could have a real gem on our hands. The final boss of the demo was also good fun, incorporating the movement mechanics into something that really felt like a boss. There seems to be some semblance of the story, but the demo did not grab me at all, and the actual prose was amateurish. But I don't think that's the focus. Come for the fun movement gameplay. Recommend. Unyielder is a boss rush FPS with roguelite elements. The core game has a lot going for it. A perfect parry, a perfect gun parry, dash, slide, and grapple hook. The bosses are alright, although the game becomes quite the mess of ability spam and screen shake. The kick on some of the guns is downright ridiculous. Another thing is the balance. It feels out of whack in how good faster weapons are. At the start of each run, you get one of several pistols, one being a slow projectile shot and another that's a classic ballistic 6-shooter. That 6-shooter might be the best weapon in the whole game, and I could dismantle a boss with it scarily fast thanks to the gun counters. The final boss of the demo run is also insanely hard. I don't understand it. One run I got there and used all my ammo damaging her only to not get her past the first phase. And another, I walk in and she kills me almost instantly. Maybe I'm missing something, but this seemed ridiculous, and having to do like 3 to 4 of the same bosses to get there again, nah, I don't have time. Seems interesting, it's a cautious recommend, but I would like to see where it goes in the full game, as the prestige mechanics for replays were quite limited in the demo. Wanderstop is a game I would overlook were it not for the developer's tenure. Davey Reedon, developer of the Stanley Parable and The Beginner's Guide, two incredible pieces on metafiction and the creative process, along with Carla Zimonia, co-creator of Gone Home, and C418 of Minecraft music fame, the trailers give me an impression of a somber story about drive and burnout, to strive to be the best at one singular thing and fail. In that way it reminds me of Tatsuki Fujimoto's Look Back, which you should read or watch if you haven't. I will make a video on that someday soon. The demo plays it straight as a cozy tea making game like many others, but I suspect reading has more to say on the nature of the genre itself. To give up on your goal and instead live in the moment, to relax and possibly fail at relaxing. I can understand that creeping feeling when you are relaxing that life is getting away from you and you should be making the most of it no matter how much stress or anguish your goals are causing. I expect a profoundly beautiful tale concerning such things, or hell, it might have an even greater twist awaiting us in the full game. It comes out March 11th, and it's a recommend purely on if you like Reedon's previous work, as the demo doesn't have any proverbial pin drops in it so far. Skin Deep is an immersive sim where you play as an insurance agent. People who are placed in cryo inside ships where you are unthawed if anything invades said ship. So each level will presumably have you assess the situation, scavenge what you need to rescue the crew, and defeat all enemies. It has a variety of fun mechanics that makes the gameplay loop what I could only describe as controlled chaos. To take down an enemy, I had to stun them with pepper, then jump on their back and run them into a nearby washing machine, which then had me slip and fall over on the soap. The demo level itself doesn't showcase the full potential of what this game will probably be. Mechanics like having to pull glass out of your feet if you stand on it, sneezing if inside a vent for too long, and being able to jump out into space and tackle a room from another angle are all very interesting, and the potential is strong. I would happily say to look forward to this releasing on April 30th. Arctic Awakening is a story-driven adventure game set in Alaska in the near future. It feels like a cross between The Long Dark and Firewatch, although it leans far more on the Firewatch side, with the mystery being the main allure. I'm not sure if there will be any survival elements in the full game, but the demo lacks any. At times the subtitles did not match the dialogue, and proceeding too fast caused dialogue to overlap. I was impressed by the amount of animations the game has for grabbing, moving objects, and vaulting over things. It gives the game a real sense of place and weight to your movement. I'm interested to see where the story goes, so it's a tentative yes from me. WhamPunch is a first-person superhero fighting game that is incredibly rough and incredibly underdeveloped. What pulled me in was aura-auraing Superman and then launching him into a building in the trailer. The options menu is non-existent, the translation is scuffed, and it is very buggy. However, the bones are there for something fun. The variety of abilities was engaging enough for me to finish the demo, and it was shockingly hard. Give this game a thematic parry and maybe a super sprint, and you've got something special. Finally beating the Superman boss at the end was genuinely satisfying as I learned to dodge his attacks and combo abilities into getting huge damage. It's not polished at all, but I'd say give it a try, just don't expect something prestige. Static Dread is Lovecraftian Papers, Please. You work at a lighthouse as the world is swallowed by strange happenings, and through your actions you must navigate these treacherous times. Whether to assist the police against a drug problem, divert medicine that will help your daughter yet hurt another city, it was a very captivating and very long demo with a chart at the end to show the variety of choices made throughout. I clocked in at 103 minutes of play. Definitely keep an eye on this one if you like foreboding slow burn horror along with a captivating choice-based narrative. Locomoto is a cozy management game about being a train conductor. I'm not big on cozy games, but I'll play anything with a train in it, so I gave it a shot. It's not for me really, none of the characters have anything going for them, and it is a very meandering game like many in the cozy genre. It also bothered me a lot the amount of loading screens even for exiting and entering the train, as these play spaces are small, and so many loading screens made the journey aspect of this train driving game lacking. On a nicer note, the polish is good and I had a little fun in the character creator. If the idea seems intriguing to you, check it out, but don't expect anything crazy. White Knuckle is a parkour roguelike in which you must ascend from darkness using only your two hands and what you can find on the way while being chased by what can only be described as an amorphous mass of flesh that's slowly rising. The movement is butter. Easy to start, but once you get going, the speed of your climbing can get crazy. I expect this game to be a massive speedrunning hit. There's a variety of items that can help you create new paths while ascending, and the frantic moments created at times when I couldn't find a path and had to make one were incredible. A super tense game. I was locked in the whole time. I stopped after dying in the second area, which I think is near the end of the demo anyway, so I'll wait for the full game. Fantastic. If this looks interesting to you, definitely check it out. I Nima is the most unique concept for a game I played this Next Fest. You are the daughter of a woman and your name is Nima, or at least, you have to make your mother believe that you are. Instead, you are some sort of entity masquerading as her, and you must convince your mother so that you can escape. You do this by obtaining words and then combining them to form new words that can answer your mother's questions. Such a cool concept for interactive fiction. I enjoyed crafting new words and piecing together bits of the story simply from the context clues of those words. The demo is very short, but I believe the game itself will be too, lending itself to replayability. The art is delightful and the music and sound creates a delightfully dreadful atmosphere. Highly recommend you try this, and I will definitely be playing this when it fully releases. I struggle to even begin to describe Arc Park Dino Ramen Express. A game supposedly about starting a ramen business with voxel cute characters is immediately contrasted with weapons, realistic looking characters, and a sci-fi aesthetic alongside the back rooms and what looks like Ashina Castle from Sekiro. And having played the demo, I still have no idea what the hell this game is. I played the story mode and it is one of the most unhinged 2-hour rides I've ever gone on. Delivering ramen to General Penguin MacArthur in his dream of a world war, ending in a nuke being dropped, sneaking past terrorists that have captured the boat in a stealth disguise section, swapping the story POV to play as the villain invading an underground facility, and then combining for the final chapter, fighting through as your main character against a Metal Gear, which then leads to a final chase as you magical girl transform into a realistic looking human from your voxel form to then superhero your way after the villain. It meshes so many different mechanics and borrows so many styles that I struggle to even pin what this game is. I didn't even really dig into free play mode, which features the actual ramen running side of the game with supposed leveling, weapon upgrades and base building to be had. I did enjoy driving a car around a massive map that is blatantly unfinished, but fascinating to explore nonetheless. Dino Ramen Express earns my prestigious Return to Campus Award for Most Unhinged and Unique Trip of a Game award. If you don't know what Return to Campus is, look it up on Steam and play it. Trust me, it is unforgettable. It's not good, but it's unforgettable. The Suspense is a walking simulator about two men working on an artificial intelligence within a rusting, decaying structure. The game drew me in with its visuals and atmosphere, but the gameplay of the demo was terrible. A game with no voice acting, yet unskippable dialogue is one of the most hellish things I've experienced. Easily reading a line and just having to wait at the glacial pace of the developer's whims, and they make you do this awful minigame of inputting 8 numbers on pads that can only be changed via an incrementing button. Ban tier stalling, can't recommend this just from the demo. Full release could be good provided they add a skip button. Shotgun Cop Man is an action platformer from the creator of My Friend Pedro. Whatever setup this game has reminds me of Inferno Cop, with our protagonist attempting to invade hell to arrest Satan. Beyond that, it's pure gameplay, which I can always appreciate. If you can't write or voice act, don't make a story game. The amount of AI written and acted games I saw this next fest was despicable. Seriously, stop doing it. If you don't want to write, just make a game with little to no story. It's fine. Kill the Music is a rhythm-based isometric roguelike in which you attack and dodge to the beat. I was immediately stricken by the style. The menus are reminiscent of Cowboy Bebop, and the game has a joyous kineticism to its animations. Even though the art itself is rough, there is heart and style that masks the fidelity. Most likely mimicking their inspiration Persona 5, which invented jazz and is also graphically meh, with gorgeous art direction. The gameplay was decent, and having to focus on the beat makes for a marginally more focused Vampire Survivors. At times it can be hard to tell when enemies attack, and when you activate your special and up the tempo, I found myself losing the beat and combo due to it. One thing I was disappointed by was, funny enough, the music. A music game should blow someone away with the soundtrack, but the tunes blend into the background and don't really stand out tonally. If the music hits harder in the full release, I would definitely recommend this. Run TavernQuest is a text adventure game where you play as the DM, or computer in this case, guiding a player through your adventure. If you've ever done any DMing in real life, you'll find this kind of struggle in corralling your players is a common occurrence. Love the concept for its uniqueness. Not sure about including voice acting. For one, it doesn't really fit a text adventure style with its old CRT monitor aesthetics, and I imagine having to voice act every possible permutation would inevitably reduce the amount of choices one could have, because you can't voice act everything. Still, keep an eye on this, it's interesting, I recommend. Is This Seat Taken is a logic gate style matchmaking puzzler where each level covers a situation that would involve a large gathering of people, and your mission is to place them around to suit their displayed needs. Some people want to be together, others want to be alone, some stink, and some can't stand the smell. The game is very chill and enjoyable. I'm not sure how complex it will become in the full game, but nothing in the demo was particularly mind-bending. Still, it's a fun puzzle game, and I like the theme, so this is a recommend. First, there was Sekiro. Then there was Sekiro 2, known as Lies of P. Then we had Nine Souls, which was Sekiro as a side-scroller. Now we stand with Lunarium, Sekiro, but isometric. It's got parries, a posture meter, no stamina, everything. Is it as good as those games? No. But it has potential. The movement is too slow, and the dialogue is way too slow. It needs a skip button, as you are forced to watch the text slowly crawl. Sitting there waiting for ellipses in dialogue from a Chinese game, which are normally overly verbose at the best of times, was agony. But the gameplay itself is decently fun, and the dynamic of having a companion that looks suspiciously like Mickle of the Kind and combos light arrow attacks with you adds a potentially fun dynamic. Try it out, and I will definitely be keeping an eye on this one. Red Rocket Defencism is a tower defense game with a caricaturized kawaii Soviet aesthetic. From color to attitudes, the game is pure stereotype. But it's very polished and has heart. The music was a standout with this chiptune song that feels like a medley of the entire Red Army Choir's repertoire. It then builds and builds as the waves progress until you're hit with this more contemporary Russian booming bass and dubstep. Also, Ilyusha is adorable. Her little faces and enthusiasm at spreading glorious revolution is good vibes. I'm too easy! As I Began to Dream is a puzzle platformer where the player is a little girl traversing her dreams and confronting her fears or trauma in some way. I thought it was going for a Yume Nikki vibe originally, but you get a turtle companion and meet various characters on the way. I quite like the soft art style. The game has a sort of cozy yet melancholic vibe in the 3 levels featured in the demo. The puzzles were fun, involving manipulating squares of land to traverse or grab keys with or kill enemies from. do recommend this one if you like space manipulation puzzles. There is no real complex platforming in it. MultiWindows is more a prototype than a true game, but what a fascinating prototype it is. So, it's a puzzle game in which you must open several windows to progress, and how these windows interact with each other is what's so fascinating. It begins with simple walls not existing in other windows, so aligning them allows progression, but it continues to expand on that with one window getting a completely different graphical style and a character that can jump, allowing you to leap into another window to get somewhere previously unreachable. It even baits you at the ending being false in one of the windows, allowing you to escape to a further section, which includes a new window appearing that is locked to your desktop and unmovable, and to solve it, you just close that window. Genius. There's even a bit where a character opens a new window to talk to you and hands you a light bulb PNG to drag onto your desktop and light your way through a section. Just incredible stuff. I am so interested to see where this goes. One of the most interesting metagames I've ever played. A second Lighthouse game has hit the Next Fest with The Lightkeeper is Gone. This game instead focuses on the isolation of living at a remote lighthouse far from all civilization. Wander the island, maintain the lighthouse, and uncover what happened to the previous keeper. This game's atmosphere is calm yet foreboding and is most likely inspired by 2019's The Lighthouse. Having to march to the lighthouse on a new day and ascending its massive spiral staircase, the monotony feels intentional. Interested in this as an experience, I give it a tentative recommend. I enjoyed Static Dread more though. Void Sails is a spacefaring sailboat adventure game with Lovecraftian theming and RPG elements. The game reminds me a lot of Sunless Skies as your ship controls like a traditional sailing vessel just in the sky. The game features islands you can dock at to complete some choose-your-own-adventure style story sections, and the combat is very reminiscent of Black Flag. You have a main laser cannon in front, broadside barrages on the side, and a ship shield to sort of parry enemy barrages, along with boosting your speed at the cost of an energy system which all these elements consume and revolve around. Balancing that ebb and flow of combat seems to be the main strategy. It's decently fun. My main criticisms are the slowness of the ship. Driving to points of interest takes ages for the lack of things to look at. But perhaps that changes when you get to the main continent in the full game, as the demo play space is just the intro. Other than that, the UI is not great. It could be infinitely more stylized. It looks like one bar above default Unity game. I've made UIs that look like that in little projects. And the sound of the weapons, I feel, should have significantly more oomph to them, along with possibly the ship moving to react to the volleys. Either way, interested to see where this goes, and I tentatively recommend. Unfriendly Friend is a classic RPG Maker style horror game, although it's made in Godot. You are one of a group of 6 friends exploring an abandoned hospital. Presumably, choices will matter and deaths will occur. The demo ends right as you reach the hospital. I really like the style, that kind of sketchbook roughness. I particularly like the trailer on the store page as it mimics a flipnote animation. Maybe it actually is one. This game is probably not unique, but I like the presentation and I'm interested. And the last time I played an RPG Maker story game in an X-Fest, it ended up being the Coffin of Andy and Laylee, so who knows. Neural Edge is a short narrative experience about a game writer being laid off due to their job being replaced with AI. Very on the nose. The game has a surreal claymation aesthetic very reminiscent of Dujana. AI writing sucks, so I will happily try this game out since I enjoyed the vibes. Yokai Landlord Monster Mystery was a name too funny to not try. Turns out you're a landlord for yokai, not a landlord that is a yokai. This is a werewolf-style game of social deduction. What's werewolf, you may ask? It's Among Us. There's a yokai among the tenants, and you as the landlord must record their statements and determine who's who, because yokai cannot tell lies, or rather, whatever they say they do, they must do. I'm not sure why our protagonist doesn't just ask everyone if they're a human, but perhaps that would just get you insta-murdered? It doesn't really make sense. It's a big plot hole that needs to be addressed in some way. Also, the yokai in chapter 1 says that yokai are nothing but fairy tales at one point, but isn't that a lie? The game conceptually is really cool and interesting, but if the logic fails majorly like that in just the demo, then I cannot recommend this unless that issue gets alleviated. Our final game is one of my favourites this fest, Labyrinth of the Demon King, a first-person dungeon crawler with an eerie PS1 aesthetic. The game is a desolate combo of Kingsfield and Silent Hill. Its atmosphere is truly dreadful, in the best of ways. Nowhere feels safe, and the droning noises of creatures out of sight left me feeling uneasy my entire playthrough. And then they drop a Mr. X-style beast to stalk you, and I had to take a break. Definitely check this out if you enjoy the older Resident Evils or Silent Hill style survival horror. Aesthetically great, atmosphere delightfully menacing, and the gameplay is decent. That's almost everything I played this Next Fest. The few that remain were unremarkable and not worth even talking about. Hope you found something that you enjoy. There can be some great things buried within the depths of Next Fest. I personally found Mouthwashing, Slay the Princess, Chance of Sinar, Jusant, Cult of the Lamb, and Mullet Mad Jack, which I enjoyed so much I made a video about it, and that's just off the top of my head. Point being, you never know when another incredible experience is just past that green download button. Thanks for watching. Obviously, I just do this for fun, but the next video should be on Metaphor ReFantasio. Got a lot to say about that game. A video on Look Back is cooking, as I said earlier, and there's an indie game I played at an X-Fest that fully released recently, and I've been looking forward to that for a while. What I can only describe as Girl Failure Silent Hill. Stay tuned for that. Bye bye.